We have just got to the end of the third day of questioning of the undercover police officer Carlo Soracchi, who, using the cover name Carlo Neri, infiltrated the Socialist Party and No Platform and other anti-fascist groups. Over the last sort of hour, I would say, we've gone through a lot of the reports that existed about the overview of his deployment, and there were some questions asked about his mentorship, about the way in which his reports were used and taken to very high levels within security services, the Home Office, and elsewhere. I am joined off screen by someone with privacy at the inquiry, the Red Beret. What have you made of what we've heard from Carlo Soracchi today?
He doesn't say much.
No, he really doesn't.
He says some words like,
Yeah.
I can't quite recall, but if that's what you say.
Yes.
And
I do not dispute.
Yeah, twice I think he said, which maybe is really important. He said, but I'll be honest.
Yeah,
and then you're kind of like, does that mean all the rest of it wasn't? It's like I don't know whether it's like deeply pretending to be incredibly stupid or lost some brain cells in this whole process. I feel like he's undermining everything that's went on. It's kind of like I just had chats with people. I just hung about in the pubs and had chats with people, and you're like, and those chats went right all the way up to the government.
Yeah,
and people's names were put in all sorts of places about their jobs, about their lives, about their health.
Yeah, no, a lot of people have commented on: is he playing the role of an honest fool, a naive simpleton, or is he just thick as shit?
Yeah, well, he played so many roles and so many times. It's quite hard to. It's maybe not hard. I assume it's a game.
Yes, yeah.
With all of them.
He says that he should have been taken. It is his conclusion that he should have been withdrawn from the unit in 2002, in the aftermath of the death of his mother. That he would have fought hard to keep his job, but his managers should have realised that he was now unsuitable for the role, and he should have been withdrawn. He did, as he was doing so, it felt like he was trying to elicit sympathy from the public gallery. I mean, I think I can say for me, there was no sympathy for him. What he chose to do and the way that he used the death of his mother as a means to weaponize the empathy with the people he was spying on means the whole thing rings very untrue to me. How did you feel about it?
Yeah, it did seem that he kind of realized that there's not that much empathy from him, and he's sitting in front of people who are his legal and his whatever. So if he's not even seeing that from there, and he's used to getting quite a lot of empathy, as people said, weaponizes empathy regularly, and he's not seeing it. So yeah, he might kind of rank it up a little bit. But him saying about being deployed, that the other thing that came out or kept reminding me was. He said, but he wanted to keep his job.
Yes.
And the first time he said, and it was because he made a difference. What difference is he talking about?
Yeah.
And this is where the Bard has also sort of tried to eke out what difference did it make with the information he's given when a revolutionary party and others have pretty much got all that information on the website and other places. Now, Platform and the other anti-fascist stewarding groups, pretty much, there was, a little bit of a nudge here and there and whatever else like that, and a few car chases. It's like, what were you doing? Partying, pubbing, and abusing women and friends.
Yeah.
Like, for me, as someone who met him very early on, it was a huge abuse of trust. He was in my flat, in some of my clothes, maybe, which will be shown at different points, and also with a very close friend.
Yeah, it's interesting. He talks about he wanted to continue his role because, of course, just because he stopped being an undercover officer, it wouldn't have stopped him being a policeman. But the reality of the situation was that SDS officers at this point were some of the highest paid officers in the Met, as well as having these very lavish expense accounts and the ability, it appears, to go on holiday whenever he wanted to and have lovely romantic weekends, all expenses paid. I mean, he didn't allude to it, but I mean, it seemed very clear to me the reason he was desperate to keep that role was how financially rewarding it was, as well as being like the gratification he was getting from the sex.
Yeah, there's a couple of things remind me of this train. The thing about Venice, which I absolutely remember Lindsay being away, absolutely loving the fact that it was a surprise and how much time they spent together and how much she enjoyed it. And then a friend of mine reminded me last week because I'm one of those people who will look at good accommodation. I found that accommodation.
Oh, okay.
Because lots of our other friends also used it, because they all know that I will
Right,
find
right.
good spots.
Yeah.
So I never actually even went to it. So his love bombing was, he also elicited information from us, really all the thoughtful, thorough things that he's talking about. He was just sucking from other people to love bomb, to ingratiate himself, to get sex, to abuse his position further and further. It's bullshit about him being sent by the Socialist Party or the CWI. As people have said, it's a serious organisation that I have been part of for many, many years. No way would I even be sent. I know my political level, and you wouldn't.
I mean, it was quite interesting that, I mean, the sense, the very strong sense we get from the reports and from talking to people who knew him when he was deployed, was that he was someone who was in the pub. He was at social events. He almost put himself at the center of a lot of social events. He loved to do the cooking. He was able to source foodstuffs and drinks from various places. He made his own alcohol. And it was really in those positions that he used in order to get second and third hand information, which he then reported to his bosses. But very rarely does it seem that he's any sort of in the center of any actual political activity as such.
No, I was in Wickford when they were talking about Wickford, and people were just walking around a lot in cars, waving. Fascists were kind of, I remember standing opposite a fascist at a train station who was putting their fingers under their neck to us. Older people from that area who were unhappy that they were in that area, and had been part of the people who'd asked us to come down and support because they felt threatened. He was there, I think, probably drinking before and drinking afterwards. Yeah, he used a lot. There's a lot of experience. I remember some experiences more than others, but that one I particularly remember because there was some of the people I knew involved and him being there. It's just, and I mean, this jumps around. I'll jump around mentally,
it's fine.
but I want to say it just in case I don't say it another time. That thing about the bombing of a charity shop.
Yes.
He also said that in front of me.
Right.
One night with other people there. And he started the conversation, said, well, maybe we could order, and I just went, shut the fuck up. And I went to all of them, just shut the fuck up. This isn't what we do. And I remember it strongly because it was just like, just the stupidity. We're just kind of between the Samuel Pepys and another pub we ended up going to when the Samuel Pepys started to close down. And it was just like the stupidness. It's like all the things that were going on, the Iraq war, the wars that were going on, the £30 million cuts that Max Caller, who then went over to Birmingham to set a whole load of cuts, were going on, and people were being devastated financially, all those things. And this is what he's talking about. It just either thinks that that's what would be interesting to us. And when he talked about cause celeb, about the Iraq war, you're like, who the fuck thinks it's a celebrity situation when people are there's mass murder going on and we're being lied to, and all those fucking illegal things that are going on, and you are wandering around with us and our back office of people checking on us, abusing our friends, our family, and continuing to do that and putting people in situations about their work, etc., which they might not have a future around.
We see that sort of that way of like belittling and like kind of making out that things. For example, the campaign for justice for Jean-Charles Jimenez, who was murdered by the Metropolitan Police in a case of mistaken identity when it was believed that he was a suicide bomber, when in fact there was no such thing, and shot repeatedly on the tube. He typifies the campaign for justice, which was led by the family, as anti-police.
Yeah, but he also kind of was differentiating the SP's role. So the SP would infiltrate and make it anti-police and state, and that we weren't really that interested in Harry Stanley. Harry Stanley's murder happened within a mile of where some of us lived, and he was coming back from pub with a wooden chair leg in there. there were lots of political groups in Hackney, and one of the other political groups had more connections with the family, and that was in 1999. So he might have been around, but he wasn't in there, so he can't tell people that some things were more important than others because he wasn't part of that. There's sometimes with any family justice campaign or thing that happens in your community, it's inappropriate just to push yourself into something. It's like, okay, we can support this, we can help fundraise this, we've got some things like that. And some people don't want to know, or they'll come back to you at another point and kind of go, actually, that might be handy, like in the red, white and blue thing. The BNP, or was the NF, whatever the
BNP, in Welshpool in Mid Wales,
Yeah, that was the second. I think there was 2 occasions people nationally went up. On one occasion, hardly anyone went up because there was discussion with the community, and they didn't want people up. They just said they'd been pretty good picking up litter, and then people were got in touch with in Nottingham and asked for a wider mobilisation because they were fearful of who those people were. So. I think there was a bus, if I remember, gone up that was part paid for by Unite and the RMT trade union as a stewarding as a contingent.
Yeah, I mean, just mentioning trade unions there, one of the most sort of remarked upon part of his deployment was this report that was put out towards the end of his deployment in 2005, 2006, about the role of the members of the Socialist Party within the trade union movement. And it's quite a long report, and it goes through union by union, explaining the influence of Socialist Party members, which is referred to as infiltration, as entryism. I mean, he had to admit that none of these members of the Socialist Party were hiding the fact they were members of the Socialist Party. In fact, quite the opposite. They were like actually declaring it quite loudly. But this report, it appears, it went to senior parts of the Met Police, to the security services, even shown to the Home Secretary. And like, he tried to play this down a lot. He said, like, "Oh, I wasn't interested in trade unions. That my intelligence was used for it, but I had very little first-hand knowledge. It was mostly things I just heard that were put together." I mean, throughout this process, undercover police have denied that they were targeting trade unions, but it's very clear they were.
Absolutely, and you'll have been able to pick up all the examples. I suppose that was a useful summary that they were shown, and I suppose that's sometimes a little bit of a surprise for me because this is like a weird, surreal film that's going on, and we're part of it, and they're actually showing up some of the things that have gone to all strands of the state. But what's kind of like, it's funny and it's not funny, but there's like a whole load of union resolutions that I'm seeing on whatever about the Iran war and about some other things. Most of us are doing fucking bureaucracy because the bureaucrats or some parts of the system, or those who are aligned to Labour, I would feel at the moment, are not doing the things that most of the membership voted and agreed for. Most of our fucking life is spent just with like union resolutions and then
the hard yards, comrade, the hard yards.
But it's just, it frustrates me because it's kind of like, in particular, like in this moment in time, there's a global elite who've been known for being parasitical pedo elite. Everything's all open about what they've done. Another set of wars is going on. The ICE thing is that there's so much going on, and you're like, you are still justifying all of this.
Yeah.
You're all justifying this, and it was a good job, and I wanted to make a difference.
Yeah.
It's kind of like all this. No, they get away with things because of no consequences, and I know the chair bloke said to Lindsay, "Oh, don't be disappointed about the results of this." And it's kind of like, people have put in 10 years of their time and energy for some justice. They're not we are not we're not stupid and innocent to know that things are not going to be the way we want them to be. But after the McPherson report talked about anti-racism training, these sort of things, it's like, okay, how much more do you just need to say the same thing and just gotta go, okay, the training doesn't work, so therefore let's not have it, or we'll have some more training, or we'll call it a different thing. We'll have some reverse mentoring. We'll have some diddle-diddle. We'll have, if they had more oranges every day, perhaps that'll help them. Or but it's bullshit, and I feel, because I'm one of those people who does feel feelings strongly one way or another, but I sense as well as feel that it's like disproportionate amounts of appalling barbaric, parasitical things that have gone on, Hillsborough, Grenfell. It's like we shouldn't be just here. This isn't just something you can just walk through. No one should be allowed to just continue with life that we're living. This is madness. We are living fucking madness, and they are allowing it. They're enabling it. They are gaslighting it, love bombing it, all the fucking words that exist, and they've just manipulated their ways to continue to say all this shit.
Yeah.
And kind of we have to just carry on. We're supposed to just carry on, and they're the ones kind of going, what's the well-being of the state? What's the how you would protect the state? What is the fucking state? You know what I mean? Can we have a chat? Can we have a chat? Can we have them on to have a little chat and kind of go, are you feeling all right? You know, have we damaged you in any way? Or would you like to kind of, you know, wither the state? Would you like to break up the state? If you don't have to be there if you don't want to. We'll be happy to find another way, a gentler, fairer way with lots of fruit and vegetables and berets.
Yeah, we've had a couple of comments. Let me just read them out. One from somebody from the campaign opposing police surveillance. The document that said how Soracchi's efforts in No Platform frustrated the group's efforts and in time led to division and disbandment. Barr asked if it's an overstatement of his impact, and Soracchi replied that you'd have to ask his managers, as if he somehow doesn't know his own influence on the people he spied on. Barr should have picked him up on that, but he was seemingly tired or rushing. Yeah, I think this is a really key point. This was the point about disruption. That it became very clear from those final reports about the overview of his deployment that it wasn't just intelligence gathering that he was doing, that he was actually actively engaged in disruption of groups, which is something which, I mean, he denied it, but it's something for which we've said that these undercover officers were doing since day dot. They've always tried to play it down, but we're starting to see it creep into reports that they were there not just to report back, but to undermine and disrupt.
Absolutely. And I mean, the extreme version is the thing of suggesting bombing. There's other things that he has suggested over those years. And I can't remember the exact times and dates, but yes, they did much more than just reporting, because he could have just sat in the pub. We were all in and out of particular pubs. And whilst he seems to be there 90% of his deployment, but yeah, disrupting things and injuring us, because the Hackney Town Hall thing, people were upset, and like, I think the doors were half open, so people went in. And I remember being just stood at the front of those doors when the normal coppers were there, and then turned around a little bit because we were just making sure some people were either out if they wanted to be, and then we were trunching down the steps. And it's like he and those others caused the violence. There was just like a few pushy doors, and you're like, you just lock it up and shut the door, and that's that. It's, you know, I mean, that town hall was paid by us. It's our town hall, and no one was really damaging it. It's kind of like, you caused disorder, and then you caused disorder. You hurt us. You battened us down, several of us, and you then make out that all of these things are what we're doing. So how much of is it real? How much of any of this is actually real? And who's it for? Who benefits when they talk about disorder, disruption, infiltration? It's like they're the ones doing it. Systematic, concentrated way with no ethics, morals, bollocks like that. Consequences, but no consequences.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it quite funny that one of his like sort of wrap-up reports kind of said that he had the effect of preventing the Socialist Party from infiltrating Stop the War and turning it more extreme. As he pointed out to him, Lois Austin was on the steering committee of Stop the War,
and also,
but infiltrating. I mean, come on.
Yeah, no, I know there was some SP members on there and other travellers, and we were part to Stop the War in that kind of coordinated way. And specifically, but I also remember we had different strategies to put forward, and they were openly put. They're probably in the minutes to say we think organised walkouts and industrial action combined will be a better way to stop the war rather than just marching up and down. That's on our papers, in the websites, in the things.
It was all very public. I mean, it was all very public. I mean, like, I mean, obviously, I mean, like, I come from an anarchist tradition, and I mean, I think the group I was part of were fairly open as anarchist groups go. But I mean, like the idea that there was anything covert about the Socialist Party. I think anybody, even the most cursory view, you could tell that everything was very much front and center. It was in the papers. It was, the slogans were right in front of you, and anybody who was a member was always telling you they were a member,
Yeah, and to be honest, like in Hackney, there was lots of different political groups, etc. And it's like sometimes we feel we have to say it because we've been over decades told that we were hiding. But usually, I remember the first Unite meeting I ever went to, only spoke once, and they were like, "Are you a Socialist Party member?" So there's something of obviously, because I asked them, they put some minutes about something and not taking an action. And I was like, are we going to talk? Do we end up talking about the same thing over and over again, or does things move on? And there's a few people whose face dropped, and one person went, "You in the Socialist Party?" And I went, "Yeah." I just went, "I don't, but I'm not one who just wants to sit in meetings." Lovely. That's lovely people at the side.
Yeah. We've had 3 days of questioning of Carlo Soracchi. He will be back again tomorrow. We're informed that it will just be half a day tomorrow. That should wrap up the questioning. He's been questioned quite extensively about the deceptive sexual relationships he had, about his attempts to set people up, about his reporting. Is there anything that someone who was infiltrated by him? Is there anything you'd particularly like to see him being questioned on before it finishes?
I suppose coming back that point that he said, I wanted to keep my job and I wanted to make a difference. What difference was he trying to make? What was his job for? Was it just the financial benefits? And that's okay. We do jobs for money. That's not an unusual thing. It matters. And maybe within that draws out what his actual politics are, because he seemed to think it was a good idea to do what he's doing. Or was it simply... or it could be the combination, but that's a question in there. And also kind of like, if you look back, I don't know. I don't know whether it's even worth it with him. You know what I mean?
This is something which, I know it's something that Donna has expressed. Kind of like, well, what's the point? Do you know what I mean? We're not getting any sense out of him. What is the point in asking all these questions? Because he just goes, I don't remember, I don't recall, but it's not how I remember it. And this sort of half denial, this like, well, we saw it a lot when he was being pressed. He'd come out with, well, it may well have been, but I don't remember it. I don't think it happened, but it may well have been. And just, contradicting his own statements, contradicting things he's just said. He got very upset when Barr put it to him that it was important that he told the truth. And he's so offended by that. And it's like, well, you've contradicted yourself so many times. Someone's lying. And it's only you speaking, but one of them's a lie because you said both ends of what it is, it is ridiculous. We have had 3 days of question. We will be back for one more day. We'll be doing these videos throughout during all the breaks. We've had another comment here just from Pat from Veggies, who says, earlier you explained that witnesses are given immunity from further action when speaking truthfully about misdemeanors. Those involved in the Debenhams incident, for example, were open about their role. What is stopping the undercover the spy cops from using the opportunity to clear their consciences? I think the thing that's stopping them, is the fact that they are so used to being part of that thin blue line that if you want to see solidarity in action, watch police officers cover for each other when they've done something wrong. I think whether it's just on a personal level, and I think partially they just don't trust the legal process because they've been on the side of it where people getting fitted up is part of the process. Or just that they don't want to get their fellow officers in blue into trouble. But yeah, theoretically nothing is stopping them, but they're choosing not to. Thanks for the question.
Yeah, no, absolutely, you're right. They're choosing not to, and it is like when Barr had to ask Soracchi,
yeah.
Scratchy, and all the cover names he's used, Neri, if he'd like to say sorry, like not once did he even initiate that, and it's kind of like,
well, I'd like to apologize for these relationships to these people. People.
Yeah, there's nothing genuine I can hear in any of this except for someone trying to cover their arse and kind of make out there's some kind of someone who's just like having a chat and being in the pub with some of us and whatever else like that, and wearing my dress in the flat as part of his job, which is absolutely fine for people to express themselves physically in any way, but like kind of, you're just like, what part of your job would this show disorder? Would this kind of upset the well-being of the state that you're wearing a dress, we put makeup on you, you're wearing my underwear, and you would dance around the flat having a little dance and sing with all of us who were in there. What part of this is kind of I've lost track of what that question was and point was.
It's been a long day. It's been an incredibly long day. We've been having to listen to a lot of bullshit from a very disingenuous witness. There's 68 of you watching. Only 6 have liked. It really makes a huge difference to how visible these videos are, based on the number of people who like and share. Please do if you're able to.
Yeah, like and share it, but also like maybe tag a few people. Not anyone who's kind of worried about their job or whatever, but just tag a few people because they might be interested. Maybe not on this one. There'll be other ones to look at, like things Kate said yesterday when she was also talking about the influence on political parties and other things, and that also came up today. Some really, really crisp bits of analysis, some really fucking funny things, and some really disturbing, sad kind of reflections. Yeah, like what he's doing. Don't buy him a coffee because he'll never sleep.
I don't actually drink coffee. Is the sad truth. But I do spend on other things. All right. Well, thanks for joining us. We'll be doing these videos tomorrow. It will be a half day, so don't expect any in the afternoon. But thanks for joining, and we'll see you all again tomorrow at 10 a.m. Bye for now.